It is a complete honor to have been selected as valedictorian. I think just to have the support of my classmates, faculty, and staff, and really the whole DeGroote community to act as valedictorian and act as the voice behind the graduating class, it's something that I'm definitely not taking lightly, and something that I'm very thankful and grateful to have the opportunity to do. I am very excited to mark this milestone. I think this past 2 years has been a great experience, but full of a lot of challenges and growth, both personally and professionally. Starting the first year of my MBA experience completely online and then transitioning to in-person learning this year. It's definitely been, there's been a lot of ups and downs throughout the 2 years. So I think just being able to celebrate the fact that myself and my classmates, we've all made it to this point, is something I'm very excited to do. I think the advice that I would give to my first year self is that success isn't going to happen overnight. There's definitely plenty of points throughout these last 2 years that I've been overwhelmed, or there's lots of challenges that I've gone through, and really just reflecting on that, it's important, I think, to understand that growth and that success is not going to be an overnight thing, and to be patient with myself along that process as well. And that as long as you're making those small strides to get to that ultimate end goal, you're moving in the right direction. So I think that's what I would tell my first year self is, that success, it's not going to happen overnight, and just be patient and trust the process. I've definitely learned a lot over the past 2 years, both in class and outside of the classroom as well. I think one of the things that I'm very grateful for and that I'm going to be taking away from this whole experience is the community that I've developed. I think especially for something like an MBA program, so much of the value and so much of the learning comes from the people that you get to meet. So for me, I think that that's one of my biggest takeaways is those relationships that I've been able to create. Throughout your education, I think the advice that I would give is just try as many different things as you can. I like to compare school and my MBA experience to my 2-year playground. It was my opportunity to try a bunch of different things and take those risks. I think when you're in school, you have that opportunity to take those risks a little bit more that you might not necessarily be able to do in a full-time work environment. So use these 2 years with the MBA, or however long your educational experience is, to take those risks. Try something brand new. If you love it, that's awesome. You found a new passion. If you don't like it, that's fine as well. You can move on to the next thing. So I think really use your education and use this experience as an opportunity to try something new. I'm a bit of a podcast junkie, so I listen to quite a few of them. I'd say a couple that come to mind are the Prof G podcast, as well as Pivot, talking about new things in business, really the world in general, and technology as well. But I'm also a huge sports fan, so the Bill Simmons podcast is one that I listen to quite frequently, as well as I'm a huge basketball fan, so No Dunks is another one that I listen to. So I started my own podcast called Building Digital Community right at the start of my MBA experience. Starting the MBA remotely was definitely something that I was struggling with, and I know a lot of my peers were struggling with it as well. I find that one of the best parts about the MBA is that opportunity to build those relationships, and doing that in a virtual setting was definitely a challenge. And I think sometimes when things like COVID happen in the world, it can spark innovation and spark new ideas. So, I thought, let's look at this as an opportunity, and that's kind of where the idea for the podcast stemmed from. I thought it was a great idea to kind of network with our peers and help to build that community in a world where we weren't really able to meet face to face. So up till now, we've had 60 different episodes with different students and alumni of the MBA program at DeGroote. So something that I'm definitely very, very proud of, and I'm very proud that we were able to kind of help build that community a little bit more. I think community building has really always been important to me, but I think it was really heightened through the pandemic. I think though that was a time where we really needed community a little bit more. However, we weren't really able to meet our peers and meet people in our lives. So I think that it's incredibly important to build that community. I think it's something we all needed over these last couple of years. I think that one that we did recently was we were able to facilitate a virtual yoga session for students in the MBA program, which was really awesome. And all the funds that we raised were donated to the Canadian Mental Health Association.